There's a moment that confuses people deeply. Just when you think you've made progress, just when things feel a little more stable, old habits get louder. Not quietly, not subtly. They come back with urgency. And the first reaction is almost always the same. I thought I was past this. When old habits resurface, people assume something went wrong. They read it as failure, weakness, proof that change didn't stick. The return feels personal, like all the effort you made somehow doesn't count. So the mind jumps to conclusions. If this were real progress, this wouldn't be happening. That interpretation feels logical. It's also usually wrong. Old habits don't disappear just because something new begins. They fade when they stop being needed. And before that happens, they often get louder. Not because they're winning, but because they're losing relevance. What you're hearing isn't strength, it's protest. Habits aren't just behaviors. They're solutions your system once relied on. Even unhealthy ones served a purpose. They reduced discomfort. They created predictability. They offered relief at a cost. So when something new starts to take their place, the system reacts. Not thoughtfully, strategically, defensively. This is why old habits don't return gently. They return urgently. They feel louder than before, more tempting, more convincing, not because they've gained power, but because they sense replacement, and replacement feels like a threat. The most misleading part is when this happens. Old habits rarely get louder at the beginning. They get louder after some consistency, some stability, some real change, which is why people misread the signal. They assume if this were working, this wouldn't be happening, when in reality, it's happening because it's working. At this stage, resisting old habits feels exhausting, not because you're weaker, but because you're no longer numb. The new system hasn't fully stabilized yet. The old one hasn't fully shut down. So you're holding the tension between them, and tension always demands energy. This moment doesn't require force. It requires understanding. Old habits aren't proof that you're failing. They're evidence that the system is adjusting. They're the echo of something that worked once, but doesn't fit anymore. When old habits get louder, the question isn't, why is this happening again? The better question is, what is being replaced right now? Old habits often get louder not when they're winning, but when they're about to lose their place. This is subtle logic.